The video is said to show police officers of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, or SARS unit of the Nigerian Police Force, shoot a young man to death in Ughelli, Delta State. They leave his body on the side of the road and make off with his car. When the video went viral on Nigerian social media in early October, no one could have predicted the chain of events it would set off in Africa's most populous nation. First, the outpouring of grief on social media, within which young Nigerians shared their experiences at the hands of the police unit. Stories of extortion and harassment and of threats to life were commonplace. SARS, established in 1992 to tackle the rise of violent crimes, first in Lagos and then in the rest of the country, has been accused of committing the same crimes it was created to stop. Nigerians, particularly the youth, live in fear of SARS officers who dot roads across the country. Young people with tattoos, dreadlocks, iPhones or seemingly expensive cars are routinely targeted and accused of being internet fraudsters or armed robbers. SARS officers arrest or threaten to arrest them, and those stopped by the officers are made to part with substantial sums of money to avoid detention. And those are the lucky ones. Amnesty International said in a June report, entitled Time to End Impunity, that it found at least 82 cases of torture, ill treatment and extrajudicial execution by SARS between January 2017 and May 2020. The report also found that no SARS officer has been held accountable for human rights violations. And it's this impunity that drove young people, who make up more than half of Nigeria's estimated 200 million people, onto the streets. In Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, Kano and elsewhere, people marched peacefully, demanding accountability from the government. The demand was loud, simple and clear: end SARS. And in response, the government acceded to those demands. But protesters were sceptical, and rightfully so. They've been here before on at least 4 occasions. In 2017, Nigeria's then police chief Ibrahim Idris called for a reorganization of SARS. 2018 saw Vice President Yemi Osinbajo order an overhaul of the unit. In 2019, the newly appointed police boss Mohammed Adamu said a comprehensive reform was underway, and it was February 2020 when Adamu called for a dissolution of the unit's satellite offices across the country. Yet, the problem continued. And so the protests continued across Nigerian cities and in London, Washington, Toronto, Berlin, Pretoria and elsewhere around the world where there are Nigerian voices in society. Now first, the protests were decentralized and peaceful. Then things escalated, and soon the Nigerian government used water cannons, tear gas and live ammunition to disperse seemingly peaceful protesters in Abaju. At least one, Jimo Isiaq, was killed in the southwestern town of Ogbomosho by police officers. The police also opened fire on protesters in the Surulere area of Lagos, leaving multiple casualties behind. But the worst was yet to come. At around noon on Tuesday, October the 20th, the Lagos State Governor announced an indefinite 24-hour curfew in order to stem the violent turn of the protests. The curfew was due to begin at 4 p.m. on the same day. And as the curfew began, young men and women sat at the Lekki Tollgate Plaza, a middle-class suburb of Lagos, singing the national anthem and waving the Nigerian flag. Then the Nigerian army showed up and shot into a crowd of people sitting and singing. The proceedings were streamed live by a popular DJ on Instagram. In the end, at least 12 people were confirmed dead by Amnesty International. The army denied any involvement, claiming their supposed presence at the scene was fake news, but the international condemnation was swift. US officials in Nigeria said they determined conclusively that the army was responsible and have called for an immediate investigation, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, before the killings, major football stars had lent their voice to the movement. Marcus Rashford, Mesut Ozil, Tammy Abraham and others had shown their support. Alex Iwobi and Wilfred Ndidi have each tweeted the End SARS hashtag, and on scoring his first goal for Napoli in the middle of October, Victor Osimhen unveiled a t-shirt which read "End Police Brutality in Nigeria." In the aftermath of the killings at Lekki, Manchester United and former Super Eagles striker Odion Ighalo condemned the Nigerian government. Ighalo's side had just beaten Paris Saint-Germain in the opening fixture of the Champions League group stage when the striker made a heartfelt video from the Parc des Princes. The Nigerian government, You guys are a shame to the world for killing your own citizens, sending military to the streets to kill unarmed protesters because they are protesting for their own rights. It's uncalled for, Igalo said. You people will be remembered in history as the first government to send the military to the city to start killing their own citizens. I'm ashamed of this government. We are tired of you guys and we can't take this anymore. Igalo called on the UK government and the United Nations to intervene, and other Super Eagles players have clamoured for change. Victor Moses dedicated his first goal for Spartak Moscow to the people of Nigeria, declaring on Twitter that enough is enough. John Ogu has had a first-hand perspective. The midfielder is currently out of contract after a spell in Saudi Arabia and is back in his native country. In Lagos, it's brutal now, he told the BBC. Burning banks, cars, police stations. It's dangerous to go out. The country is a shambles. I've been at a protest 6 or 7 times. It's always peaceful. Asisato Shola, the Super Falcons and Barcelona striker, has also dyed her hair in protest, using her Twitter account to declare that it's not a crime to have dreadlocks, nor to have red hair. And football generally has been very much a part of this story. In February, Kazim Tiamiu, the vice-captain of Remo Stars, a team in the second division of the Nigerian football pyramid, died while in the custody of SARS officers. The 21-year-old's club alleged that he was pushed out of the police vehicle before being hit by an oncoming car. In response, the Nigerian Police Force dismissed an officer and an investigation into the incident continues. Ogu has called on his national teammates to boycott the upcoming qualifiers in solidarity with those who have been killed. What is the point in representing the country if this is what the politicians, the people we're representing, can do to us, he asks. And what happens now remains unclear. The curfew and threats of violence have effectively put an end to the protests. Police Chief Adamu has ordered yet another dissolution of the unit, and various states across the country have set up judicial panels of inquiry to hear the stories of survivors, with Lagos taking the lead. But young people are not expecting much from these panels. After all, in 2018, the government set up a judicial commission of inquiry into SARS, but the commission's findings has yet to be released to the public almost 2 years after the panel submitted its report. Regardless, Nigeria's youth have put the ruling class on notice. The era of impunity is closer to an end than it was just a few weeks ago.